Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is your boy Josh. Once again, Happy New Year, and you are tuning in to the podcast, Just a Kid for Gary. Today, I'm excited about this guest. It's been one in the making. We've been chatting back and forth, trying to get it organized, but we finally got it. I did catch my man in the midst of moving, so you know what I'm saying, he's out and about right now, so we might catch a little background noise, but it's all going to be good because the gems and the knowledge and the conversation is going to be on point. Today, I am here with my man Migel. Ran across him basically by having a conversation through a third party on an app, and it ended up being such a dynamic conversation because then I realized my man was from the same city I was. And my man, shout out to Rico. He was like, man, y'all got to connect. Yeah. And I was like, say less. So, man, help me, my guest, welcome. Migel, how you doing, my brother?
Man, thank you, bro. I'm good, man. I'm blessed, bro. Peaceful.
Yes, sir, man. Before we get into it, man, I would like everybody just to let you guys know to follow, subscribe, to the channel. I'm going to be continue to drop gems and continue to bring people like this on. But as they do that, Migel, why don't you go ahead and give the audience a quick bio for you? Who are you?
Man, I'm African American male from Gary, Indiana, 219.
Okay. Just a kid, yes, sir.
Yeah, just a kid from Gary. I'm in the back. I'm in the east side, all the way at the end. Marshalltown.
Marshalltown.
Yeah.
Marshalltown. Okay.
Typical story growing up in the inner city. My mom passed when I was 2. Mm-hmm. I was raised by her parents in Marshalltown, the same house she grew up in. My dad from that same neighborhood.
Okay.
So it's a family affair, generations on top of generations.
Yes, sir.
I did the whole Bethune, Drew, Pulaski, Roosevelt trajectory, obviously. So okay. That's what I rep hard. Pretty much my identity, I grew up in the church, man. Faith to the Church of God in Christ in East Chicago, Indiana. And, my way out of there sometimes on Sundays was playing biddy. That was like my introduction. Playing basketball. Late bloomer, like far as my grandmother letting us out the house because she didn't want to let her daughter that she lost kids just go anywhere.
Okay.
So she was overprotective with that. But it definitely made a difference.
Sure.
So played sports, man, all through high school at Roosevelt. Football, basketball. Started playing football like a sophomore year and had a chance to go to Western Michigan to play football. So played football out of Western Michigan and just got to the point where I just saw what sports was doing, man. And that's my background as far as how I looked at sports and saw the value of academics. And people were getting lost in traffic as far as NFL or NBA aspirations, but not having the paperwork.
Sure.
So it's before the one and done demonstration because I get why that works too.
Yeah. So real quick, I want to go back to something you said. So growing up in the city, you was raised by your grandparents or your grandmother, I should say.
Yeah, well, both. Yeah.
Oh, so so both your grandparents. Yeah. And you said something that was interesting, that she basically didn't let you out the crib because of that fear.
You caught that. Huh?
Man, that's huge, man, because that was a lot of, my mom was even big on that. She was a single parent mom and she didn't let me out of the crib. How was that, man? Because and I remember reading about you, and you said that you grew up during the era of Gary was the national capital, the city capital.
Man, yo.
So how was all of that, man?
Because you see the remnants, like me and Freddie about to say, let this beard fool you, and I ain't got a cut for this black hair. 36.
Yeah.
So when you growing up, you
got the salt and pepper at 36?
36, man.
Man, that's crazy.
Some people say it's wisdom, but it's my trademark now.
Sure.
But when we speak about it like that, man, you gotta understand every high school was open. So it might not have been 5,000, but there's 3,000. Yeah. Every project open. This one, Roosevelt got rails, Dora Miller got bricks in the front. And the difference is if your parents, I would say this is what I vividly remember. If your parents care for you on that bus stop in your neighborhood, they was at the front door greeting you.
Sure.
Coming on in. And then our routine was come in the house, get some food, get your homework done, which ended up working it out on the floor.
Yeah.
And then by the time the night hit, especially how it get night around 4:30, 5 o'clock, it was, you could see, it was 4th of July. You could see the shots throughout the city. You can hear them in Glen Park in Marshalltown.
Wow.
Like you would wake up and see like bodies, remnants of shell casing, a lot of
Yeah.
drug exchanges. Like you saw the National Guard coming down Broadway with tanks.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, it wasn't a pretty sight, and that was like we saw things. I remember seeing bodies in the cut between Door Mill and Marshalltown. Like
Yep.
it ain't normal going to middle school. Like
That wasn't normal. Like that, and you're the first person I had on this podcast that's willing to admit that, because I talked about it. Like I remember, see, I was a baby when this was happening, but I remember it. I remember because I lived on the west side, and I remember two specific things. One, always ducking. Like we could be watching TV, getting prepared for dinner or whatever. The gunshots go off, get on the ground. That was instantly, right? And then two, it was the white sheets over the bodies going home. It was always.
You see, like I grew up in front of a basketball court in front of Marshalltown, the Pep. So you're seeing like fiends walking across, like naked, seeing cars burnt up and they been stolen from the night before. So I'm looking at how I'm raising my daughter in like Orland Park or in Chicago, but it's totally night and day. But it's so driven in how I think and how I approach things to today. It's kind of like it's a gift and a curse.
Yeah, it is. It was, to me, it was beautiful to grow up in that environment, especially if you made it out, because you have such a strong appreciation for life. You have a strong appreciation for even sometimes the grind that you had to go through, because it was keeping your head low. You know what I'm saying? Knowing how to move in those spaces, and then being able to say I propelled so that, you know what I'm saying, I'm able to live. So I guarantee you probably have friends that didn't make it.
Think it is though.
What's up?
The flip side of the coin. It sets you up when I say the curse side, right? Because you're taught to survive, not how to thrive. So you can end up being in a nice environment and still have your gloves on, still on the defense, because you're so used to using that to like survive in your environment that you don't know when to turn it on and turn it off.
Turn it off. Yep. And I realized that once I left, I went to a PWI, and I still had that exterior on me, and I didn't know it. Like for a long time, I was carrying
not speaking to people right in the cab. You just like
what?
The whole college experience. I'm playing sports, so double down.
Yes, sir.
So now it's like you missed the conversations in college. The whole demonstration about college is conversations that lead to opportunities, especially if you go to a PWI.
Yep, it's all about networking. All about networking. So what was your college like experience? Because you was playing ball.
Man, going to Western Michigan, is in Kalamazoo, an hour and a half away. Like never knew it was that close to Mac school.
Okay.
It's crazy when it's kind of small. We had all the black frats. We had a strong Detroit pool up in that mug.
Yeah.
So definitely, man, being the halfway point between Detroit and Chicago. But I was at times. I remember my first roommate, because they didn't let athletes, especially football players, stay in the same spot. So my roommate was a regular. Oh yeah, that was like the Miami University rule. Wow. They had let all the football players stay in one dorm, and it was like schoolhouse rock in the building. You can't do that nowhere. That's the NCAA. You can't even. It ain't even gonna allow it.
Yeah.
So I had a roommate that was from Galesburg, Augusta, Michigan. I mean, kids drink milk with every dinner. I'm like, who is this kid?
That's a country boy.
Yeah, man. This was a regular student, Stephen Walters, and we had like the lofts up on the ceiling, the little joints from build. We had them style in the dorm, sharing the Jack and Jill bathroom with the other two roommates that were also white guys, right?
Okay.
And I'm from Marshalltown, so that was like just seeing like West Captain Morgan, like why the windows up, like just different. But it opened me up because I always say, I live by this theory. Every 7 years, your consciousness change. Every 11 years, your intelligence level change. And every 18 years, your lifestyles change. And for the most part, everything is built on your environment.
You might have to run that back for me, big dog. What was that again? So every 7 years, say that
every 7 years, your consciousness change.
Okay.
Every 11 years, your intelligence level change.
Okay.
And every 18 years, you have a lifestyle change. So just do a quick run through your life and think about the environment, your family, traditions, neighborhood, how it affects 7, 14, 21. But think about this. It's not based on you until 21 if you go to the military, college, because now you're looking at the outside world injected.
That's true.
So then we look at if you make conscious decisions every day in that 7-year time frame, every 11 years, you'll be in different intelligent level
Absolutely.
groups. And every 18 years, think about prom. And I'm 36 now. So I'm at that. I've seen it twice. I'm not fooled by the same Jordans. It's a lifestyle change based on the decisions that you make. So that's the real maintenance check for life. You really haven't started living. So when I talk about that 21, that college space, you learning new things at the PWI. You know, it's not to say everything was right in the hood. Obviously, something was wrong. True. So now you're taking a little bit from them and you bringing it back home. And people might say you changed, but you just expanded.
Yeah. Yeah. Rapping with another.
Yeah. What's up, y'all?
Y'all say what's up? Hey, how you doing?
This is Taylor. This who's got the brand. This is the whole reason behind Babies and Bibs.
Oh, really? Okay, bad. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that because that's gonna be a big conversation.
That's a cameo. You know, she gonna have it. Y'all gonna know that face.
Oh yeah. So, you know, it's really important that we set our children up for the best, right? How did your parents set you up? Like, what was it? Was it something you learned? You know, what was the most important thing you learned that you could say that, you know, you're using it now?
So growing up in Marshtown, we have a lot of resources, but one thing that my grandmother did was every summer she would make sure we was out of town. So we would stay with our aunts and uncles who had moved to the burbs and outside of Arizona and Minneapolis, and we would be the only blacks in the neighborhood. So it'd be like I had different friends. So I felt like coming to Gary was like, yeah, I go to school there, but I can't wait for the summer to head back out there. So I think that prepped us, especially going to church. So I got strong faith. Like I manifest things. I got to be careful what I say because it's gonna happen.
Okay. Okay.
I watching my grandmother pray, watching her like it'd be we won't have money, you know, sometimes for lunch, but we never had one without. Like the neighbors call somebody. So I just saw her like, man, like prayer warrior, like get it done.
Yeah.
So I think that's what me, as far as my brothers, like that's what we really lay on the fact that that's what we saw, what they could prepare us with what they had, right?
Yeah.
And she just my grandmother made decisions that still affect me to this day. Like life decisions she made that we encountered, and it just blessed me to have like for missing family members that weren't there for me as I raised my daughter. She was able to make some decisions that allowed relationships to still be like last, and it allowed my daughter to have different family members that I don't have any like as far as her mom or like my grandmother to offer her except her mom's mom.
Right. And I guarantee you that. I mean, it's been paying off. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man.
Yeah, like
tremendously.
You can't run away from those things, man. I think about something that my grandmother would say. It still sticks with me to this day. And you had mentioned like your grandmother make sure you was out of the city for a summer. Sometimes I would leave. So my grandmother had a farm, and so I grew up with my mom. So sometimes I'll just go and help my grandmother at her farm. Mm-hmm. And after my grandmother passed away, she ended up giving that farm to us. So it was kind of like this weird transition from Gary to the country life, but I was kind of comfortable with doing it just because of that transition, and it helped. And there was a lot of like things she taught me. I didn't realize that the farm lifestyle had so many like keys to life. You know how animals interact. You know what I'm saying? So it was good to get us out of that environment, and I think that's really important.
And growing up in the church too was great because I just knew to be accountable. Right? I knew somebody was always watching me, whether it was family. I just knew they were watching me, so I just couldn't do certain things that other people could do. I just felt like I might get away from my grandma, but like, what if the saint see me at the gas station? Like,
yeah, exactly. Like you've always felt. And I don't know if it was just like they terrorized us with that, but it was like they were like God is watching you, and then it was always like everybody else is watching you, and it's like man, like you don't want to do nothing wrong.
Yeah, you know, you want everybody to know you at the church, but then it's like low key, you wish nobody knew you.
Exactly. Yes, sir. So moving on, man. what are some challenges that you could say that you've seen growing up? Like, what were some of the biggest challenges for you?
Um, it's funny, like always feeling like, you and Gary, you in Northwest Indiana. So we like the thorn in the side of the state of Indiana. So
Mm-hmm.
always thinking you were second place, to the region when it came in sports or academics. Just you felt that energy of like people looking down upon you. So like
Yep.
having to prove yourself and your worth. So I saw it a lot through sports, obviously. Um, that was a big challenge for me. I encountered a challenge even with like when I was at Bowman as a coach, going through that whole episode of firing when people really didn't understand my intent and the papers had the last say.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a challenge just because it was like this is what like if you really knew the whole gist of it, like I'm really fighting the fight the good fight, but you
Yeah.
couldn't say anything. So it was just that was a challenge for me, like rebranding myself, restructuring myself, like making sure like it was just weird. I had never been fired from a job anywhere in my life, and you come home and like knowing we don't have the proper structures to like
Yeah.
have your name smeared in the papers. It was just
Right.
crazy. That
Right.
was definitely a challenge for me. Challenge to be a father. Like that's new. Like
Yeah.
trying to making sure you're doing it the right way. The things that you didn't have. You might
True.
think you gotta have difficult conversations with your parents just to see what happened around the time you were at that age.
Yeah.
Or just being a husband, you know what I mean? Like that's a challenge in itself.
Yeah.
Like we go through difficulties, storms, but just tougher all the way around.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know about the challenge of being a husband just quite yet, but I'm pretty sure, man, it has its own. You know,
Oh man.
it has its own. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
even.
you make good they make beautiful kids from like two opposite ends of the spectrum, but
Yeah.
it's a challenge, man, because you got your way of life that you like I said, we talked about survival mode
Yeah.
versus my wife from the suburbs. You're talking about like she ain't go through that, and she don't have to like necessarily understand it. It's hard to like you could talk about that story all day long, but
Yep.
it's the feelings, the emotions behind like being terrified, keeping your
Yeah.
head on the swivel, like
Yep.
making you sometimes I got to get you before you get me,
Yep.
like that
And that's
type
a
of
crazy
yeah,
mindset, man. That's a
crazy,
crazy
right?
mindset to have.
I
Like
got to get you.
you
I just
before
met
you
you,
get me.
but I got to get you before you get me.
And think about living like that, man. That's just it was something wrong with that, man. It
Yeah,
wasn't. Yeah.
definitely,
It was
man.
like yeah. It wasn't. That wasn't cool. That wasn't cool at no
Yeah.
point, man. Yeah.
And I think in Chicago faces that a lot times 10 because
Now.
it's people on top
Now.
of each other. And then you
Yeah.
got this dude here, you got somebody to your left, to your right, up, down, and then it's already that same mentality. Like
Yep.
we just getting to the point where we speak to each other in public versus just mugging each other.
Exactly. And sometimes you can't even do that. Like I was just in the city, man. And honestly, I thought I was like, man, I thought, I got the sign, like, so you think your brother cool, like, cool. Wasn't even on that. You just, hey, get your stuff together and get out of there because you already know, bro. It could turn left really fast. But that's
Yeah,
the
you
same
like,
energy, though. Because
I'm just being cordial.
I remember my barber, he was telling me, he's like, man, when I was young, he's like, Josh, you got to know how to move in the city. He said, honestly, you can't be too sweet. You can't be smiling. You can't be saying what's up. Even though you're a nice person, you just can't do those certain things because, like, the person is thinking in their head, is this person going to get over me? And I got to think about if I'm going to get over them before they get over me.
And look at here, the third party in the cut.
Yeah.
He's soft. He weak.
Watching the whole entire thing, you think,
Yeah,
bro, you talking, man. You talking.
but
You
look,
talking.
only reason I got them eyes because I didn't have to live with it or have to live through it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
but it's sometimes I be talking to my wife about she don't understand that because she ain't come through that.
A lot of them don't. A lot of people don't because it's just a different way of
Yeah,
life.
because
You know what I'm saying?
and I think about my daughter. I want my daughter having to be on the swivel
No.
like that all the time.
No.
Like
It's uncomfortable.
now I won't take away the instinct. The instinct is
That's
great
true.
to have because you can use that in the workplace, but
You can use
the
that in
action
business. Hmm.
is the problem.
Yep.
Like the instinct is great,
Yep.
but the action is when you're using it on. That's the thing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That I I can't stress enough about how difficult that was and how now it's better. You know, like there's still like, don't get me wrong, in the city, like there's still that issue. But like, for example, I was just talking to a young bull. He's 16 years old. I would almost call him like a little mentee, and I'm realizing like there's like this is a different energy, because when I was a young bull, like when I was around his age, I wouldn't been that like friendly to hit up somebody and connect with them and try to network with them based off what I was saying. I would be on some like, dog, like, why I'm not doing that? You know, some jealousy type stuff. So the energy has changed in the city, bro. Like real talk, the energy has changed.
I just think it's the youth. They kind of more in the like let's be on the same basketball team. See it in the NBA now. Like it's more of a like let's work together versus like let's because it's an information overload and see that it's so much. It used to make us think it was only a little small window of us can get through, but because we weren't connected like we are now, we can look on technology and see like it's a dude over here getting it, he getting it in my neighborhood. So you can't really, the blinds are open now, and it's crazy. And it's about the same powers that be. So I like the shift in the world. You know what I mean? It's funny watching the world turn. Like my grandmother, if she was alive, she'd be like, "What?" She probably couldn't believe all this.
Really?
I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, it was like they had to grow up and coming up from the South, so I don't really think they had like they just pretty much was happy with what they had. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the small rewards, you don't really know, like the world. Obviously, we probably that would have been a top for us too.
True.
The world obviously different, but I just know like probably the hope of having a black president or even a black female vice president. Like I don't think my grandma could have like from what they went through.
Yeah,
could be thinking that was gonna really happen in their lifetime.
Yeah,
but now I see in my daughter's lifetime, I feel like Gary would be back. Boom.
I do too.
In my daughter's lifetime, people be like, too. You hear the older people say like, "You're not bank on that," because I get it. In your lifetime, it probably didn't happen, but I feel like it's like you betting on the stock market on an engine car, and I bet on electricity. You probably be like, you won't see every car electric. I may not either, but I might see 80% of the cars electric.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good point, because they didn't have that grasp of hope. Like, you know what I'm saying? They were like, we're in the information age, so we can see what other things that other cities are doing, other people are doing. We're gonna, eventually it'll come here, or eventually something will start changing. So we don't have to just say, okay, Gary's not gonna make it, or there's no hope for the city. We actually get to see it.
We see the Nipsey stories.
And also we get to be a part of the change. Like that's the, versus going, this will never happen.
You don't have to worry about a school district because of online learning. And then people are like, well, you got to wait on a factory or a company or something building to come to Gary. Well, if I'm making money through Babies and Biz, which is online, I can live. I don't need a company to come here.
You don't need a business. You don't need a physical place. Now you can go network however you want. You can move around, and you don't have to worry about turning on the lights or the water heater going out or somebody breaking into your store. I can have a company in
Gary and I you have never been in it, but I can still make the same big type of money as a company in Chicago.
Yep. And that's the
game. The game is shifting, and they're not even really accounting for the youth. Like they're not even counting us in.
That's true. And that's the scary part. I remember when we were having our conversation, we were asking ourselves like, why wasn't the city producing or talking about entrepreneurs, talking about innovators? Like, why aren't they birthing it? But I think that what it is guys like us that are actually doing it, and then talking with people that we know, starting up that narrative. And I think that behind the scenes is actually happening. What you think?
It's happening. We think about it. Gary right now got a top NFL player starting safety. Actually got more than one NFL player.
That's true. They do. I talked to both of them actually.
We got more than one NBA player too.
That's true.
All right. We got 3 father-son relationships. Glenn, his son, Winston Darius, Devontae, his dad. You know what I mean? So think about that. Like that's huge for one area. We got a Grammy-nominated rapper.
That's true. Ready? Yeah.
So no matter where you go, and you're talking about hip hop, Gary, if we say Gary, it ain't gonna be no more. Are you from where Michael Jackson from?
Jackson.
Hate that, bro. I'm like, I never saw him.
See, that's the crazy thing, man. People think like, oh, like we got so much love off that. We didn't get nothing off that. You know what I'm saying? Everybody talk about it. Oh, that's where Michael Jackson. That's the city.
Like, I had a snowball fight coming out to high school one day in his front yard, but that's about it.
Were you around when he had came to Gary?
Man, technically, yeah, but I don't remember. Like,
yeah, it wasn't because here's the thing. He had came to Gary and they had like I went to West Side. I think he performed there. I don't even think I know he performed there because I went there as a kid. Like they gathered like a bunch.
But
of
you know, in Gary, we gonna count a moonwalk as a performance, even though he may not even sing one song.
That's true, and he did not sing. He did not sing. They played his song. I think he danced. He moonwalked, and like, all the kids was like, ah, and that was it.
Moonwalk right up out of there.
that was it. And the crazy thing is, he moved so fast out of the city. My aunt was like, Michael Jackson did come, and I was like I'm pretty sure they did not impersonate Michael Jackson in front of a school full of kids.
They gave him a Letterman coat and everything.
Like, yeah. Like and they had mass security and everything. I remember that, but yeah, like he
People
really
don't know, man. People know Gary. Like I'll give you a prime example. Dick Barnett, only jersey retired at Tennessee State University, right? Mm-hmm. Rob Covington played a couple other NBA players. Dick Barnett jersey retired with the Knicks too. He played in the first state championship game with Oscar Robertson, the first two black high schools, 1955, Crispus Attucks versus Gary Roosevelt, first two black schools in the state final. And he go on to go to Tennessee State, which Tennessee State had Coach McClendon, who learned basketball from Naismith. Mm-hmm. So Naismith taught this black coach who goes on to teach Coach Heflin. He teach Dick Barnett.
Wow.
He teach John Thompson. Wow. Like all these greats, and they go out and they teach in these predominantly black epic centers. Right. Come on, man. That's why Coach Thomas, and wishing him well, which is like a father figure to me, he like, man, you 4 degrees away from the inventor. You got 4 degrees away from the inventor of basketball. You know your game. You know the game. Like, it's for real, man. So
yeah.
History, Gary everywhere, man. Rather, a lot of suburbs been born because of Gary, Merrillville's, the Hobarts, but Gary, like, yeah, people know it, bro. Like, we just gotta get out. Like my college professor said it best. Kids go to Western Michigan, but when they get on Lakeshore Drive and they jogging along the beach, they don't wear their paraphernalia. But you see the Michigan hoodie, you see the Wisconsin, the Michigan State. So we just gotta speak up, man. We everywhere. I'll be seeing people like in the strangest places. I'll be in LA. I've been in Dominican Republic, and it's a Gary dude in line. Like, come on, man. We're not that big of a city.
It's crazy.
Everywhere.
It's crazy. It's everywhere. I was in Atlanta. I was talking about it. Somebody turned around. I'm from Gary. What? Had a conversation. I think it was in a restaurant. Had a conversation like that. Like it's sparking. And when I was in Houston, I didn't realize it was. I had put like, I think I was doing a podcast and I had tagged the person. And as people started hitting me, I'm like, you in Houston? I'm from Gary. Like, shout out to Gary. Like, what you got going on? So it's like I think it really is it's changing the narrative, doing some dope and cool things, and then putting it on the map so people can see. So they're like, oh, okay, this city, people are doing things. This city is about it. And we are. We just got to be out there exposing ourselves, which gets me to this. I need to know, why did you become an entrepreneur, and why did you start Babies and Beards?
Man, we kind of talked about it. So I lost a job at Bowman, and I ain't gonna lie, I hit a depression mode because I was embarrassed to be in the papers. I'm not gonna sit here and flex. So if I knew I was gonna feel that way, I would put myself in that situation.
But can you go back over that situation so we make sure we
so basically it was kid that they say pretty much had an eligibility issue, but ended up being a big another slew of issues that should have been taken care of but wasn't. So without going into too much in depth, pretty much stuff wasn't handled that it should have been. That was it, you know what I mean? So I got walked out. They lost the eligibility. This is all public stuff. They lost the eligibility. At that point, I wasn't able to really tell like the depths of the details. So I just was advised by people that played in the NBA and dealt with the media. It was like, just man, leave it alone. So it was eating me up on the inside, and then I just stayed. I just stayed in the house, took some odd jobs because I wasn't only a basketball coach. I was a teacher. I was the AD. So I was juggling a
So
lot of hats.
you kind of lost a lot during that time period too.
Yeah, lost pretty much everything with a newborn the same week. My daughter was born like 4 days, like so. I came back.
A bittersweet moment.
I came back to coach that night. I finally had the courage to leave the hospital, and that I ran into that. So it was crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway, long story short, it's a blessing in disguise because I live by a theory. In order for you to get something, the universe got to move something out of the way.
That's true.
You're not gonna just hoard all these things. So I ended up coming outside finally. A couple of days around the holiday, my cousin took a picture of me and my brothers on the couch with our daughters. She was like, "Who y'all, babies and beards?" And like, I heard, yeah, exactly. How your face went, that's how I went.
That that would have made me.
Yeah, I was like, that's. I like rhythms. I like Jay-Z. I catched up. I catched up a lot of times.
Double entendre. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I like that. I like that. So I had this guy from Gary named Terrence Campbell from Trey Club Designs. Okay. Shout out to him. He designed the logo. Campbell? Terrence Campbell.
That name sounds familiar, man.
Went to Ball State, into graphic designs, definitely doing. His mother used to be the principal at Bowman before I took the job, Miss Pickens.
See, I went to Ball State, so that's interesting.
So, how old are you though?
I'm 28. Now,
Terrence, older than he about my age. A little
okay.
Older.
Okay.
But it's definitely a common name, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he came with some building blocks, the kid playing blocks. And he spelled out babies and beards, and he was like, he could do something else. So he started giving me silhouettes of beards, and when I got the silhouette, finally, after the second attempt, I'm like, oh, that's it. And then I kept it real little and made it my Instagram. The only thing I did was made it my Instagram profile, right?
Okay.
So when I made it my Instagram profile, nobody could see that the eye in babies was like, I got it all kind of here. So the eye is a bottom.
Okay.
Nobody really knew. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Because it was so small. So people started like saying like, you should like get the thing and make it bigger and whatnot. But I had a whole bunch of pictures of the boys working out, and I ain't want to lose that, but I wanted to like get away from it. So I basically started posting pictures in black and white. I just danced. That's how I started on my Instagram. Okay. Black and white pictures, and I think that's the purest form of black and white art. And I started like being in circles around athletes. I would see them at the gym, and I'm like, "Yo, you got a kid? I ain't even know." And then it clicked again. I had another light bulb moment when I was like, "You mind if I get a picture?" Which sounded strange, or they started seeing the movement and they started sending me photos. Okay. So I'll never forget the one I got from Steven Jackson and Katino Mobley. I'm like, "Oh, this is real." Okay. It didn't reach them, and they sending me the personal joints.
Okay.
So I started seeing that was a wave. I rode that wave for a minute, but I wanted it to be more than that. It was kind of like the Humans of New York page at that time.
Okay.
So a couple, like 1,000 followers, real light. So then I was just like, man, I got to do more. So I started looking at opening the logo, showing people the logo, and people started asking questions about the logo. Mm-hmm. So I ended up taking my daughter to the All-Star game. She was getting in room because she was just running wild. And they were letting her in, so I'd chase behind and they'd be like, "Hey," and now I'm in the room. So when it clicked, I was like shaking hands, meeting people post-COVID, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, this something powerful here, babies and beards. Like I started seeing like different things about it, like doing All-Star break, and I got it on my right wrist. So when I'm right-handed, so when I shake hands, you people see it and ask about it. It's like my business card.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I'm live with this for the rest of my life. Yeah. So what ends up happening, I started making merch because somebody set me down like on a podcast and said, "Man, you ever heard of Lecrae and the 316 symbol?" He said, I can see your logo being on clothes, like tattoos on people, like you're not even gonna know.
Okay.
So then I came up talking to a lady about a hair. Right. So this whole time, people thinking it was just merch because I had a couple T-shirts printed. And it's funny. Every time people see a T-shirt company or see a T-shirt with a logo, they think you're going to be a clothing line.
Yep.
And I'm like, I was just building awareness because people would be like, I was in Nashville, I seen your sticker.
I seen your shirt. Yeah. Yeah.
So I was engineering the brand in reverse. So he was like, when you saw the brand, you would go to my Instagram and see the image of fatherhood, and you'll be like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So I wasn't selling you anything. I was just
I just wanted your attention. You basically wanted to get people to your Instagram, to your social media, so they could check out what you got going on, follow you.
And I was just like, I was really embracing fatherhood. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, it was proud to me. I just felt good. It was good energy.
Okay.
So I talked to a lady. I was in the store one night at Walgreens on a daddy to-do list type deal. And I see all these other dads, and they looking for stuff, and we all FaceTiming, moms and wives, like what to get. Now we all got our male products, a couple Just for Men, Old Spice, our Dove Men Care, and I'm like, what if we had a product that we could just get for ourselves? And at the time I had lost my job, so I'm doing my daughter's hair. I'm at home with my daughter. So I'm like, if I could just use what I'm using, it'd be easy.
True.
So that's how I became a 2-for-1. And
so you basically seen the opportunity with the oil, or with male products, and you were available to do it because you didn't have.
Because everybody in the store looking for it. I'm like, babies and beards.
What was that? What was that one thing they were looking for?
It could be in the baby aisle, really looking for whatever the baby use. We get the Huggies. We ain't know what to use.
I see.
So we looking like we got our stuff.
Yeah, no, what's up with the baby, right?
So once again, using social media, man, I put my thumb on the back of my phone, took a picture, and then typed in the little black on the box on my story and said, I'm looking for a chemist or somebody in natural health business. They referred me to a lady named Aisha Crump that had a Honey Baby Naturals, and she from Gary. Her product was in the stores already.
Okay.
So I was like, word, for real? So I talked to her, and she was giving me the ticket on it, and I was like, oh, I ain't got that, but I could figure it out. So that's when I started making shirts, but I used Printful because I didn't want to have a whole bunch of inventory. Because I did that as an AD with like selling shirts. I have all these shirts stuff over from this game. So I was like, I don't want to have that again.
Real quick, for those who don't know what Printful is a company that you're able to make product, and you basically don't have to have a warehouse of clothes. Basically, a person basically is able to shop through your products, buy it from your website, and Printful just make them. So just so you know, like that's what
and for tax purposes, they record every transaction,
everything. So literally at the end of
the year or whatever,
quarter or whatever, bingo. Go ahead, continue, please.
It's in house, definitely. But once you get to the point where you're killing it, and you leave Printful alone, you're selling just merch because you can do that yourself.
Yeah, because they eat off you.
But it gets you started because most people be like, "What are you doing? You trying to have me? I want you to invest in my company. What are you doing?" So you might have 3,000, 5,000 followers, but you're using Printful. At least you moving versus being an idea in your head. Because they can see if you can get momentum. They can see where you're going. They know they can scale it. They can end up scaling it. So
that's true.
I started putting out the shirts, man. I just saw a wave. Like it was just like, okay. So I started getting in talks about like doing a 2-in-1 product. And I wanted to be, once again, my thing is #grow together. So I wanted to be strong for beards, yet safe for babies.
Okay.
#grow together. So I started talking to people about stuff and like how it can smell. And, man, I'm a real nostalgia person. So if you ever saw the cans, it looked like the old Murray can because nobody has redid that.
So you're talking about the orange can with the...
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
So I wanted to be, right now it's a sticker, but I'm working on getting it on the tin. And then I wanted to look like Indian hemp, the old softy on the inside, but not as yellow and not as real, like shiny as that. So I wanted something when I put it in my beard because I had curls back up, it'll shrink it and I get all tight. I wanted something after you got out the shower, when you picked it out, it kept its girth, but it didn't stain like a dress shirt. But I also wanted to be able to just put over my skin, like dark spots. Like this spot was huge last week, and it just after a week went down.
Really?
But my daughter, they patches. If you got like patches in your beard, to start filling them in.
Bro, I'm about to purchase that now because I was gonna ask you, man, what do I need to do to get the beer right, man?
Man, holla at Bill Co in Houston, man, from Gary. Shout out to Bill Co. He started using it on his clients in Houston, and they be eating it up.
Really?
Yeah. And
So it's going
everybody
crazy right now.
man, eat Nashville, Philly. Like I really like target these barbers, man. It's been a blessing.
Yeah.
And like it's good conversation. So my daughter got sick. This is before we knew what COVID was. It was like November last year. So she gets sick in the hospital. It was man, it was the scariest thing in my life. And she was scratching at night, and we was trying like products from the hospital, wasn't working. We put this on her, and she has like a little light case of eczema under her, like the crevices of armpits and under her knees. Man, no more outbreaks, no scratching, no bleeding till you could no scratching till you could see the lines of blood. Like it started to improve just using the babies and beers butter. So I was like, man, I got me one here, and the rest is history, man.
So what is your products like? What is your products made out of?
So it's a butter mix. So it's different butters that come direct from Ghana. I got a couple herbs like rosemary. Way the butter is whipped is definitely that helps the process, but it's also, I believe in like a lot of. I grew up Kojic. I believe in spirituality. Like it's a lot of energy. So when it's prepared with good energy. Like there's no negativity in the room or in the space where it's prepared in. So that plays a huge part into like the healing component, I believe. But also black chamomile you get is a good fragrance. I always say it smells like walking down 50. It smells like if you walk down 53rd and Hyde Park, like that Afrocentric smell you get over there.
Yeah, that natural. Yes. Okay.
That's the smell,
man. Yeah.
So, and the smell, anytime you're messing around with products like this, you can change fragrances. Like we got a gingerbread one that we do around Christmas, but it's pretty much it's a butter, but it's can't give away all the goods, but for the most part, it's that one. It's that one.
I feel you. So you basically just to kind of recap, you get fired or you lose your job. You just had your daughter, and you have this idea. You started based off of something that someone said, based off, and also your love for just manscaping in general. It then turns into a business. What keeps you driving? What keeps it going? What keeps you motivated?
Well, when I hear a man say this, I ain't got no baby. I like it, but I ain't got no kids. I'm like, well, you're a father, you're a coach, you're an uncle. There's no way you can avoid a kid if you're on planet Earth.
That's true.
So I love when they say that because I just talk about the accountability of man being in a proper space. I think that's a big part of the evolution of the world.
Okay.
As it changes. And then I like when I hear, I offer the product and they say, I don't have a beard. And like the beard just symbolizes man growing. So it's just a call of order,
Yeah.
So it's an unavoidable thing. Plus it's good for your skin. So what keeps me going is just, first off, I like getting my hair cut. I've been getting my hair cut in barbershops. My grandmother, one thing she made sure, even though we're from the, Marshalltown, she made sure we went to see Bill Cole, go to the barbershop, go to Mousy. When Mousy was cutting in his mom's kitchen, that's how long we've been going. So she just made sure them things were right. So I like that. I like to travel.
Okay.
I like sports. So it's like I get to be around sports. I don't have to necessarily come in like, oh, I used to hoop, be that old guy in the room, all that chitter chat, but be a owner and just show growth. And like I look at showing my, I can't work at 9 to 5. That's not my thing. I'll do it to survive, but I'm in thriving mode. I'm in that space. I enjoy it, man. It's fun. It holds me accountable. Like I said, I'm not perfect every day. I can make mistakes, but it at least give me something that, like, it's like it reminds me like the church people looking at me at the gas station.
Yeah. How important is entrepreneurship to you, man? I
mean, it's financial. It's the freedom. It's the shackles off of you, man. Like the world was set up for you to be an employee, not to be an employer, not to be an employee. The taxes, everything structured for you to be an owner. Yeah. So I don't really see like how you can put the same. I've sold cable. I've done a lot of sales jobs. I don't see how I could use the same skill set for myself. Now, some people might say, "Well, you got a product, so yeah, that's easy to say." Everybody got a product. It's only like finding your work as a man, finding your purpose. So I'm like, as far as me, I just enjoy entrepreneurship. I don't like. Don't get me wrong. I still work. I work at a school full time. You know what I mean? I can talk with my brothers about things in sports. Um, I play with real estate, but I just look at it like if I knew what I knew a little earlier, like and I'm only 36, so I feel like I'm still in a good spot. But like, think about if you could have took some of that student money, that student loans money you got, refund check, you and your guys put it on the house.
Yep. I used to think about that all the time, man.
You don't even have to work for nobody. So,
yep.
I mean, it's like gonna be a code of conduct if you date my daughter. Like, what you got going on? A job can fire you.
It has to be.
Yeah, a job can fire you.
Yeah.
They'll be living with me. You know what I mean? I don't want to go down roads that I've been down. So just I'll help you structure it. Like I'll help you participate in it and be active, but you gotta have something going on outside your job.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a huge advocate for entrepreneurship. I think it's actually our only way out. I think that a lot of issues that we have is based off we have the employee mindset and we are employees. And I really believe, that the best solution is creating something based off our passion, finding that avenue, and creating that. And I stress this too, man. Work your 9 to 5 and let that be your investor to your business, to your whatever you want to do. Allow that to be the thing that funds it until it's ready to, soar and is able to be on its own. But I think that it's so important these days in order to be an entrepreneur. Because I looked at it like this. I remember my mom telling me about a situation, and I won't put all the business out there, but it just led to her being disappointed about a promotion that she was expected. And at that moment, I realized, I said, see, and this was more of a conversation I had internally. I realized that, after all that hard work she put in years and things of that sort, this company could tell you, no, you don't deserve, it's not that you don't deserve it. We don't want you to have it. And see, as an entrepreneur, nobody can tell you no. You can go after the things you want. You can build that business, that brand, whatever that is. And once it's there, once it's established, once you have employees or people working for you, or it's benefiting others, you don't have to listen to a no. You know what I'm saying? Nobody could tell you that. And I thought that, I say, my biggest goal is to create that financial freedom for my family. And I can hear that in you, man. I can hear that
you said it best. It's funny because I would watch and it's kind of keep them, like I keep my grandfather, like on me, my grandma and grandfather.
Respect.
And I would watch him come home with his hands dirty because he worked in those. You ever saw on the train those black tankers?
Yeah.
He used to work inside cleaning them, smoking a Winston cigarette and his wild Irish rose.
Man.
So that was bad on his lungs. So
I was about to say that was very, very toxic, man. Very toxic.
He passed away. And them cowboy killers, Winston cigarettes. Like,
the Winston boys,
yeah. That's why I always look at Rude clothing line and be like, I can't stand it because it reminds me of that box.
Yep.
At that time, you could buy the cigarettes for your grandfather. You could buy him a pint from the store.
That's true.
But I watched him work with his hands, and I was just like, I'm not working that hard. So I worked jobs with my hands. Don't get me wrong, but I tried to make sure I didn't go down that lane for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
But then I looked at when you talk about like you work jobs, right? And you sit back and you like let your 9 to 5 be your investor. Like that's pretty much you could turn it, and then you could turn anything into like entrepreneurship at this point.
You really can.
It could be like I always knew I loved talking to people, like because I knew it wasn't me talking. I knew it was God moving. So I used to love just talking to people and trying to give them my, like my thoughts or whatever. Because the thing about experience is yours. Yeah. You can share it, but it's going to be different for you.
Yeah.
I just felt like it would be like God using me to talk at certain times, and I would get energy from that. So like babies and beers allowed me to talk to different people, man. Like it's one of the best things I ever did, man. It's I can see the money like before it's even here. But I don't even get too caught up in it because I'm enjoying every little moment of the ride.
Absolutely, absolutely. That I mean, that's the beautiful part about this grind, and this is why I love it so much. Is because like there are certain moments that happen, and like the ups and downs, and you go, man, I'm appreciative, man. Like this,
Like I like figuring out stuff. That's the thing.
yeah, yeah,
Like I don't. Yeah, it be dilemmas. There's dilemmas all the time.
all the time,
But
all the time.
like I'm cool with figuring out stuff. Like I would be bored without that stuff to figure out.
Right, right.
Yeah, I feel myself growing.
And not even just bored, but you wouldn't have that drive to continue. You know what I'm saying? Like if you
Mhm.
didn't like for example, if something was just given to you, like what would make you work hard for it every single day? It was just given to you. But when you worked for something, can nothing to distract you or make you stop? No, you're in it. You're 10 toes down, and that's why I love entrepreneurship. I mean, it's nothing better than working for yourself and building yourself up. There's no other way to do it in my
And
opinion.
you got to like the saying, you got to get off the boat so you can walk on water. Are you gonna crash? Have I had bad months? You got to bet on yourself. I looked at this sheet of paper today, right, for what
Hmm.
I could potentially write off. I don't even know how I spent like 39,000 on stuff that could be written off. But it was when I looked at my state, it was 39 grand. I was like,
Wow,
where, where,
wow,
where? So I think obviously you try to write off everything, but when I think about what portion of that,
everything,
you try to write off everything, right? But
everything.
I was like, this is crazy to me, right? And I'm like, this is all. Once you get the ball rolling, you're gonna keep up with it. Once you start
Yeah,
your social media presence, you're gonna fulfill that need because it's gonna start growing. You just gotta keep chopping away, and eventually people gonna pay attention. Like flood them pages, they'll pay attention.
I know you're continuing to grow your social media. You're still going after it, but how would you tell young guys or girls or anyone who wants to start a social media, build a brand? What would you tell them in those initial stage in order to do that?
We'll figure out what you're trying to sell, like what you want to portray, or whatever the
Okay.
case may be. And remember that as the end game, no matter which route you take, because you don't want to have stuff in front of you that could prevent you from succeeding later, or
Yeah.
in the moment you just make a bad decision. So I'll say definitely that. My biggest thing would be as far as social media, as far as like the growing part is like leveraging relationships. Like every opportunity is a sale. Like every day, I don't care. You're gonna catch me in my merchant. You're gonna catch me in it. I don't care if it's a
Okay.
lapel pin. Obviously, it's tatted on me. But
Yeah.
if you're not believing in it and using it, why would I use it?
It's true.
Right?
That's true.
And what does your brand or whatever you're promoting? How does it affect the world? How is it for the greater good, of mankind? Like if
Hmm.
it's for you to make a couple of dollars, and don't try to perk like, oh yeah, I'm gonna call this get money because everybody need money in the world.
Yeah, yeah. Some
Like, come
corny,
on,
some
man.
corny reason why you wanna. Yeah,
Yeah, bro. Let's
yeah,
like like make it make sense.
yeah.
How do like them companies do well? Everybody like a story, and they got the people that they like.
It's true.
So I try to do like share my whole and you got to figure out how much you're gonna show. So
Okay. Okay.
you gotta be aware, man, of your surroundings, what you're involved with, what you catch, what people you let people put on camera.
True. True. That's a good advice. That's good advice. Man, this has been a great conversation. Um, I do want to know though, like if you had to give, uh, or if you had to give you at the age of 25, right? And I'm referencing as a man, right? As a man, you had to give yourself at the age of 25 advice. Um, or what would you say to a 25-year-old you?
I would say to my 25-year-old self these exact words: Don't be afraid to stand on your own too. Like, I already gave you favor. I already placed a tremendous amount of faith in your life. You don't need to engineer or try to manufacture your life. Like, it's already written. Like, trust in His will. I would have probably been more closer in the Bible. I think at that 25-year mark, I think that's a crucial, because it takes 25 years for the brain to fully develop.
Yeah.
So first I like functionals. Next is emotional. That's that high school. That's how you be just flip off the handle, and it can mess you up for the rest of your life. And 25 is critical thinking. So I think I was processing things critical, but I think I was processing it from a lot of different places that I probably shouldn't even been in.
Respect. But that says a lot, because at 25, as men, we're transitioning. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're like we do it unconsciously, but we are transitioning to that next phase. And so I think that it's just, and I don't think I'm even like, yeah, I'm 28 and I can look back at 25, but I think once I hit 30, I'll have the ultimate advice for my 25-year-old self. But definitely standing on your 2 feet as a man and just doing it, like just knowing that you have the ability, like knowing that God gave you 2 hands, you got 2 legs, 2 arms, you got a mind, you know what I'm saying?
I don't think a man knows himself till he's 35.
That's a good point.
And I'm talking about what he do.
Well, why is that though?
Because it takes a man to know what he do, like so you know who he is, what he do, and how much he make. Who he is he, who are you? Like, who are you? Not who you want, what girl is this? Who are you?
Yeah.
What do you do? What do you define as your purpose? When a man finds his work on this earth, what do you do? Not your job. Not your, because see, I lost that job. I thought I was all about sports. But no, what do you do? It could be sports, but how are you going to use sports? What do you do?
Yeah.
And how much you make? Because unfortunately, you need money. You got to make some smart financial decisions, not only for yourself, for others. Yeah. They can have a stress-free life. So I think that's key. So 25, man. You're right. You think about it, 7, 14, 21, 28, right before some conscious decision moments, right? And
yeah.
11, 22, intelligence level. So whatever you're doing now, you're preparing for 33.
Interesting. You know, you said something that I want to go back to though. You know, as men, it's interesting how we are formed to get wiser with time, right? So like 35, you're probably at like you said, you should know who you are. You should know your purpose. You should know how much bread you're bringing in. And if this is just a off the wall question, but should that be a character on our pursuit of women? Right? Like, should that be a character, or should how should we be thinking about that in the pursuit of women, right? Like, you know,
in the pursuit of women,
a woman or women in general. You know what I'm saying? Because like to kind of make this make sense, because it was kind of choppy question, but you know, you don't really know yourself until you're 35, right? So
you're saying like picking a mate,
basically, yeah.
So look, I mean, this.
Just your advice, yeah.
I'm not perfect at that. You know what I mean? I got married, but I still make mistakes. I'm gonna be transparent. You feel me?
Yeah.
I think you can grow with somebody. I think when I picked my wife, I was looking at the fact that I wasn't looking at just in the moment. I had been through some things. I was thinking about who she was as a mom, who she would be as something. If I was, because my mother died when I was young. If I was to die today, I met her at 26. If I was to die today, and we had a kid, will my kid be straight? And I felt that safety and security from her and her family. But I always say, man, no matter what, in every king, there's a boy. I got this from T.D. Jakes. Every king, there's a boy. And for every boy, he wants to be a king, right? Mm-hmm. Every king have boy moments. Mm-hmm. So it's all about balance. Like, don't get too high, don't get too low. So when it comes down to finding a mate, you want to find that it's all about balance, right?
Yeah.
It could be, I chose somebody that was totally opposite from me. But even in that, it was, like I say, a gift and a curse, because I was in survival mode.
Yeah.
So even though you ask for them differences, do you really know how to like nurture them differences? Do you really understand when some shit hit the fan? Like, can y'all figure it out from two different ends of the rope?
Right.
Because you're gonna I don't care how close you are, when it go crazy, you're gonna revert to that instantly.
That natural instinct.
Yeah. And I'm going right back to Gary. Yeah, she go right to the birds, like
because it's home, it's comfortable, it's what you both know. Yeah. I'm still a little leery on it, just because, just to be candid with you, I'm looking at so much as far as when it comes down to relationships, as far as like marriage go, and as a man, I'm like, is this something I want to enter in the long run? And there's not like like the because like for me, I feel like the dating stage in this, like in our age, is kind of rough. You know what I'm saying? We are in a hookup market. We're in a hookup culture, and the qualities that we need. I know for me as a man, especially as a high value man, I don't know if that is out there. That potential is out there. So I'm always like, guys that I've done it or are doing it, I'm always want to know like those secrets, if there are any.
Something. So, Pete, I heard something recently that got me, like really got me.
Yeah,
so
talk about it.
I'm about to probably hopefully dumb this down for a lot of men, right? I recently heard, like, you hear like the woman should, like, God wants the union in the marriage to like the church, him and his relationship with the church. So a woman's heart should be. Oh, you heard this growing up all the time.
Man. Absolutely.
Should be so deep in the church that a man got to go to the church to find her. Well, it never made sense until now. So, do you know what that really means, and why it's powerful? Especially if you're in a dating scene, is that in marriage you can go to that woman and say, "Hey, I'm praying about this. I need you to pray for me about this," and it's gonna happen because her relationship, their union through the church, it's gonna get through.
Yeah,
you get where I'm going.
Okay.
So if you're looking for somebody who can, you're going to go through some stuff. And it's kind of always the ones that don't leave. And there's some people who don't go through nothing. Because after time, you just look at the value of staying, and not just dying in a relationship. I'm saying, like, it's worth more for me to figure this out than to just bounce. Like, bouncing people, I'm out. But then you start looking at the fact, like, if they could see the greater good, even in the darkest hours, right? Then you sit in a situation where you start looking at, oh, this might be a little different. That should be that first kind of alert. Because it's going to be sweet and a good time. I'm talking about when they get ugly, what do they do?
Yeah. Like, so, but how can you test that? Like, for example, like if people are dating, like, for example, if a man is dating a woman and he's dating her for like 6 months or a year, and after the 6 months or after a year, he says, okay, this is the one. You haven't went through anything. Like, you don't know.
Well, have you been you in that 6 months? Like, fully you? Think about that. Have you been fully you in that 6 months? Or how you been? What's up, man? Good.
Of course. You've been that guy. You've been the
you've been Teddy
You've been
P.
the suave guy, and she's been, So
that's that's why you gotta know you. Remember, I get back to that?
Yeah.
Hit you. We go out to dinner. Knowing me now at 36, I might go out to dinner and hit you with this. Paper, rock, scissors.
Right.
Even though I could pay for it, but hopefully I chose somebody who could pay for it too.
That's true.
So we going paper, rock, scissors, just
to see what's going on.
And I ain't even playing games with you. I'm playing games, but I ain't playing games like to see if you got it or not. I'm just being me.
Yeah.
I'm keeping you. I'm not being predictable. Like, I'm just having. Like, I want to be me. I want to have fun. I want to laugh and stuff.
Absolutely.
This is who I am.
Absolutely.
So if I can't do that and you get offended, if you're thinking I'm trying to play, there you go.
This is it.
What's the key though? The key is I didn't do anything different that I would do with my brothers.
Right.
Like, I know you're a lady I'm interested in. Obviously, that's different. But I'm bringing myself.
Yeah.
The whole me.
Yeah.
Like, that's the problem. Dudes smoke and then they get around a girl and be like, nah.
I don't smoke.
I can't get out there. Man, be you. That's what you do.
Be you. That's good advice, brother. be you. And that,
because somebody gonna like that. Somebody's gonna say you a have someone alone anyway. Somebody gonna like you.
True, and that's I think that's the most important thing too, because like I think that we get into this where like we got to understand our motive, because like when we like get with a shorty, we got to understand what we want. You know what I'm saying? Because if we're doing all that, you know what I'm saying, if we're doing all that, it's a reason why we're doing that. We're trying to get something versus, you know what I'm saying, actually just enjoying the situation, enjoying the environment, enjoying the shorty, and then, you know what I'm saying, that vibe, it just, you know what I'm saying, either she gonna rock with it or you cut ties, you feel me? But I feel like it'll be most chances that she's gonna rock with it just because you're being candid. And a lot of times people don't rock with people that are like that.
Most people meet people in their relationship and they be the ones that lives be the most weirdest times they met randomly because they wasn't on nothing. They was being nothing.
True. That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah, they weren't on nothing, man. They ain't coming with no attentions. They probably ain't have no clothes on. They just running to the store real quick. They ain't come out with that. They wasn't on that. You go to
y'all
the
just started laughing. How
many times you done got dressed, spent some money, got a haircut, got fresh, went to the club, and came home empty-handed?
Nothing.
And you prep for that, though. You prep for that.
Yeah.
I met my old lady at a church, man. I wasn't, I was crashing. I ain't gonna lie. 50% of me was on that.
Yeah.
And the other, but I ain't know how it was gonna hit me. You know what I mean? So, just man, man. The next thing you know, like shorty, she different. She ain't from around here. She got a red lip. It was stuff girls and Gary weren't doing at the time. You know what I mean? Don't get it twisted. Like our girls be on point two in the G. But what ended up happening, I'm like, she ain't from here. I crashed my wedding reception, bro. I ain't got a plate. I know how much weddings cost now. I was like, man, I said I gotta send them some bread. ASAP. Shout out to Kiana and JJ. But man, she dipped out. I happened to go outside and call her on the way back to Chicago. That's where they was from. And I ain't even had no lines, but like, yo, what's your name? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My man was out there with me, man. My guy was. I'm talking to a home girl. And long story short, man, my man's ended up getting, locked up there a little time. When he get out, though, I was telling him one day when he got out, I was like, hey, man, that girl from the parking lot, dog. He like, yeah. He sat down for a little bit, too. He was like, I was like, I'm married to her, dog. I got a daughter with her. He was like, this my main man. He like, what?
That's
like,
crazy.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
Are you one of those guys that people were shocked that you got married?
No, I think they probably like knew. But my friends think I'm kind of like I'm a wild card. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because I'm like, I'm so unorthodox. I'm out the box. Like nobody never know what I'm gonna say next. Because I'm respectful. I ain't crazy with it, but my filter, I don't hold back. I say how I feel about any situation. I got an opinion. I'm very opinionated. I just always by strong-minded, strong-willed people. So it's just, I ain't timid. I ain't passive aggressive. None of
that. Yeah.
Like I'll peep the scene for a minute, but trust me, that ain't a sign of weakness.
Yeah. It's part of our environment. Like it's part of what we. Because I'm the same way.
You're trying to read the environment, right?
I feel so much comfortable when I read the environment versus just off the rip. Just man. I gotta be in the cut. Like
what's crazy though, once you read it and you do say something, you end up running the whole room, the whole event. Everybody know you.
Everybody listening. Everybody tuning. Like, oh, this dude knows something.
Yeah. It's crazy, right?
Yes, sir. Man, this has been great.
That means you walking in your purpose too, by the way.
That's true.
If you can, it is also another topic for another day of supreme mathematics. You're the original man. So when you walk in the room, you command that because it's a la arm, leg, arm, head. You wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Like you the original Asiatic man. So when you walk in the room, it's either fear or respect. It's either build or destroy. And if you know knowledge yourself, you know that. So if you embrace that, that's the manifestation. That's the magic in the room. But when you in tune, you walking in your purpose.
And you're right about that. I used to wonder why I would get either the fear or the respect thing, And I used to think like, oh, it's because I was black, saying my stature, I'm saying, oh, like, this is how people view me. But after I educated, I walked into my purpose. I walked into awareness, a level of consciousness started to begin to grow. I started realizing, and like you said, like people either respect you or fear you because of your presence, because you are a god. Like that energy, that force field is just here, and you're like, hey, that's somebody. You know what I'm saying? Either we get out of their way, or we say something. You know what I'm saying?
And that's what I want Gary children to know. That's what I want Gary children to understand.
Yes, talk about it. Talk about it.
That's the power. That's why I came back to Gary. That's why I took the job. Is that they needed to know that, because I knew that when I was 13. I knew that in Gary, but I had nobody around me to nurture that. So if somebody was around me to nurture that, I knew just how much more powerful I could be. One of my best arguments was with a kid that had 2-parent household. He went to college, was a lawyer. We downtown Chicago in my place in Hyde Park. Yeah. And he millionaire, doing well, my same age. Mm-hmm. And I had one question for him. We was arguing about Jay-Z. And I'm like,
he was arguing about what?
About Jay-Z tracks.
Okay.
And I'm like, bro, you listen to the A side. I'm a beat like he raised me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I remove your roof, let the sun shine in. Mm-hmm. Like, come on, man, quit playing with me when it comes to hoes.
Right.
So I asked my man, I was like, I got a question. With that jump start you had with your family, were you walking slow or was I running fast? Because you arguing with me in my kitchen right now. So were you walking slow with that head start, or was I running fast from my shortcomings? Because you in my living room arguing with me when I shouldn't even, based on statistics, based on Gary, based on whatever you say about it, if you let people tell you who you are, I don't know who you are. Like they call kids Chicago savages, not knowing about John Baptiste Sabu, third largest city discovered by a black man, not New York or LA. But when they let the media do that to you, you don't have knowledge yourself, then you be intimidated, even by our own people. So when I asked that question, that's when I knew then I was like, I'm stepping into my call and it ain't just me. I always felt like that, man. And like nobody was around you saw respectable black men, but a lot of them guys that put up 30 years in the community school districts at that time, they was out of touch.
True. Completely. But you're right, man. You're right. Kids are missing that. Kids are missing that they should have that confidence. If they don't know that they can hold that confidence, they don't know that they can walk around with their head held high.
And black men need to go into education. I'm an advocate for black men. You looking for a job, you need to go to school for being a teacher, go into education. They become millionaires first. You get summers off, weekends off. You ain't doing that hard labor. Tell me what teacher you know who died early in their 60s. Most of them live into their 80s because they're around the youth. They always learning.
They're keeping them young.
I urge black men to go into education. Trust me, if you look at the Forbes list and look at these new demographics, it's telling you the quickest way to be a millionaire is financial and education. Because you can be an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm a department lead at a school. You know what I mean? Like I got a lot of stuff to do, but you can do it when you're in education. Don't let that, it's low pay, there ain't a lot of hours. Man, stop. That's a myth.
How do they become a millionaire? Are you saying like because they have those opportunities there?
Because they got the freedom and luxury of a set schedule with summers off. Wealth is in the mind. If I travel every summer and I connect, and the world is all about being able to get connections across the world, and you travel a lot, you well versed. You're valuable.
So you're basically leveraging your school semester or season for that summer. So basically, you're educating and you're enlightening you.
You can run a side business. You can run a business on the weekend.
Yeah. I see.
It's a new. Don't see. You'll fall by the wayside thinking if you still think education ain't the way to go. Right. I know guys who lawyers right now who make $250,000 plus, and they want to go into teaching. Now, I ain't saying just high school. I'm thinking about professors too. Just understand that the education system schedule is golden. And with them going online, come on, fellas, like you gotta quit. And we in demand as African American men in education.
I believe that.
And you about to be labeled as an essential worker. Like we tripping. They about to pay Chicago teachers, second year teachers, $75,000 a year.
Really?
Yeah, so we keep thinking they only getting 40, 50,000. People still think houses in Gary worth 40 and 50,000, and you buying houses in Gary for 70 and 80 now. Like, you gotta quit thinking like Stone Age. The world COVID just hit. The world has changed.
It's changed. Yep. Think about how we were able to communicate, have this podcast. You know what I'm saying? Before we would have to try to meet up, be in the same location, and now we're able to do it across the world.
Well, my generation don't know your generation because you're from a different era in Gary.
Bingo. That's a big one. Because a lot of times the different generations don't cross like that.
Or if you didn't play sports, I don't know you.
That's true.
It's crazy, right?
That's true. Or if you went to school, like if you went to college, you know what I'm saying, you left. You know what I'm saying? And there's no way to like look at your lifestyle or look at what you're doing.
I meet you in a Whole Foods in Dallas. And I happen to say I'm from Gary. I'm from Gary. You know what I mean?
Yep. Same thing. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Man, this has been phenomenal, brother. Do you have any last words, man, before we get out of here? I know it's been a long conversation, but you got anything to wrap it up?
I think we said a lot, man. It's probably definitely just outside of like not just talking about the brand, but understanding who I am. But I appreciate the time and the space, man, that you gave me the opportunity. I know we've played phone tag, but I knew it was definitely had to get done.
Yeah.
I know there's value in this, man. And hopefully just, people saw a different side of me. Like I ain't perfect, but you get to see my growth and my development. Yeah. And also like what holds me accountable every day. So
yeah.
Like I say, it's blessings, man. Anytime I get a chance to do this, I know, like I said, help me walk in my purpose.
And I felt like, real quick, man, to piggyback off that, I felt like this was just a great conversation, but also a great person to talk to, somebody from Gary, somebody that is seasoned and is doing something to change their narrative, and somebody that, you can look back in the archives and go, that brother was doing it. Let's see where he's at now and see this mega brand and where it started. And I think that's all about telling our narrative. We can no longer allow them to do it for us when we have so many instruments and so many opportunities to do it. And me being on that app that night, and just listen to everybody, I was like, oh yeah, the city is being shooken, man. It's been like it's shaking right now, and things are changing. Because when conversation has been had, that's how you know something has changed. Because as long as people not talking about it, nothing's been changed. Yeah, it's when you start talking about it, that's when things start changing.
All thoughts start as a conversation or a thought. You got to manifest to bring it to the reality, man.
Yes, sir. Well, look, man, it's been a great conversation, man. You guys for tuning in to the podcast. Just a kid from Gary. I'm here with my boy Migel. Real quick, where can they find you? Where can they tap in if they want to know anything about you? If they want to buy your product, I'm definitely going to support. Where can they go and get
man, the simplest thing to say is Babies In. So my last name, none of them. So Babies In Beards. So you can Google that just like that. It's going to pop up one of the first things. But just always remember Babies In for none of
Beards. Baby in Beards.
Yeah, okay. I'm on IG. I'm on Facebook. Got my website. So you can find me in those places, man. Definitely.
Bet. Well, let's stay tapped in, brother. You know what I'm saying? I love to see the grind. When I'm back in the city, I'm definitely going to hit you up. And
man. We're gonna have some big things coming too, man. So just be checking out them tunnels and them NBA tunnels, man. Like,
yes, sir.
It's game
NBA
time.
Tunnels? Oh yeah.
Start peeping them tunnels. Some coming down the pipeline.
All right, bet. All right, cool. Well, y'all heard it here first, man. This has been another episode, and I'm out.